way this show had me emotional. Ugh. So I finally watched the season 3 finale. Let's get into it. So Conrad finally arrives in Paris. Belly is a new woman, and we see that she's now involved. The test on this finale and the moment when Conrad arrives in Paris is really a question of, can they fit into each other's lives as new people? They've clearly matured, they've grown, but is the chemistry still there? At dinner, we see a scene where Belly is smoking a joint. The scene that they cut back to is really important because it shows the power dynamic. And now that power dynamic has flipped. We see that Conrad is situated above Belly while she's in the pool, and Belly's in the water looking up at him. But when we cut back to that scene, Conrad passes on the joint this time. Without breaking eye contact, he refuses to miss anything in this moment. Conrad's love has remained steadfast. And what I love about their history is that one day, one night can change everything for them. So this whole exchange that happens during dinner with Benito brags about showing Belly how to ride a scooter. Conrad in returns responds that he's the one that taught her to ride a bike, aka he was Belly's first lover, wherein Conrad will always be her first love. And nothing can take that away, not even time. There's an earlier moment where Conrad is in Belly's room. He's desperately scanning for any sign of their love, their history, him. Conrad's character really communicates so much in just looking at these photos of Belly's new life on the wall. These people were strangers until they weren't. See that, yes, the chemistry is still there, and he does have the ability to fit into her new life. A large part of that being is that all the people in her life already knew about Conrad going in as part of her foundation. In those earlier moments when he's in her room, there's this anxious energy where he sits on her bed and then he stands up. It almost feels too intimate after so much time. But as the day progresses, Belly invites him to her birthday party dinner and essentially into her life, which then eventually leads into her bed. And in the bedroom, we really see another display of the power dynamic shifting between these two characters, where it becomes this physical dance and she ends up on top, which is a flip from the beginning of the show. The yearning and the mistiming on this show is entertainingly agonizing. The cast is generally so strong across the board. I love how grounded and fully realized each character is. I've cried many times on this show. It's truly because it so thoughtfully handles and addresses the varying degrees of grief. And it's done in such an authentic way. Susanna is the thread of the entire show. Ellie's final monologue to Conrad, she finally expresses all of her insecurities and her doubts regarding his love. And Conrad is able to address his grief head on in a way that both honors his mother, but also explains his emotions fully, with the lesson being that vulnerability is rewarded. The ending was satisfying. There's definitely room for more, which is why I'm happy that they're making a movie to be directed by the author Jenny Han. So we'll be able to see what these characters are up to. And here's the deadline announcement. And I especially love the scene where we see Conrad and Belly at the fair, but we get the flip and we finally see Conrad's perspective. And from Conrad's point of view, we finally realize that he was looking for Belly the entire time. The reason why the timing never worked out between these two is because Belly was still discovering her own self-worth. Belly continued to doubt herself. There's a moment after Conrad professes his love for her that she says that she wishes she was as sure. But she is sure, and she's always known. But she also admits that she feels unworthy of love. But once she was faced with her inner child, which is shown in the photograph where she sees herself as a young girl, she finally chooses acceptance. She accepts herself, her worth, and trusts her instinct, which is why she can finally chase down Conrad. Although I'd argue that he wouldn't have given up that night, even if she didn't ever go to the train, in my opinion. So then they are finally on time together. I really enjoyed watching this series. I read the books years ago when they originally came out, and I feel like the adaptation is just a really successful demonstration of utilizing a visual medium to tell an emotionally grounded story. Casting was key here, and we have our next generation of stars.